But there's one thing I kind of wanted to address. Here the last couple of videos, there's been some a few comments, not many, just a handful of comments about how far behind we are on our videos. You know, tell me how I'm supposed to, say put out a video every single day. When we're busy, I can't do it. There's only so many hours in a day. Hey guys, got a big couple days coming up for you on this video, and probably going to be a part 2, might even be a part 3. But before we get to our projects, like we might be getting another round of rain in August. Never turned down a rain in August, even though we really don't need it at this point. Been about 6 days since our last rain. I'll take some more. Here in about 45 minutes, we're gonna have a big arrival on our farm. So show you that here when the guy arrives. But before we get to our big project, got a little bit of work to do on the old semi truck here. This exhaust pipe section that we fixed back before wheat harvest, it's just wore out. It's done been rubbed into the frame some, so we're going to replace this section of hydraulic pipe. And then also, if you notice, got a crack on this support for the frame for the cab. Gonna take that off and weld it. And then a problem that popped up with Andy on the last couple of days of wheat hauling was we're not stucking fuel out of both fuel tanks right here. His fuel gauge was still showing like a third of a tank when he got up there to the river, and the truck died. The driver's side fuel tank was empty, and this one still had fuel in it. So there's something blocking the fuel from equalizing between the tanks. I don't know if it's a plugged up vent tube or what, so go and check that out. So anyway, some pretty simple fixes. Probably not going to cover much of it. Cover that big surprise that's coming in here in a few minutes, and then the bigger project, the main reason for the video, kind of a little bit later on. All right, quick update. Our special surprise still hasn't arrived here. Weather might be slowing them up a little bit. We got our pipe off. I think it's time for replacement there. That problem right there is what we're looking at though. And got our bracket all welded back. Does look pretty good, if I do say so myself. And we got the vent tubes on the fuel tank blow off. Didn't seem to be any restriction in there. Now Andy's up under there trying to trace lines and see if there might be a problem with the lines where they're supposed to cross over. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. It's raining too hard out there. All right, we're going to have to call it quits on filming till we have a little bit better audio. All right, here's the surprise. Brand new litter spreader. All right, it's that time of year where it takes 2 shirts to get through a day. Got to change the shirt at lunch every day, either because you done sweated through it, or you've been out in the rain, and either way, it's soaking wet anyway. A really nice 9/10 of an inch. I think it's official. I think the corn crop has got enough to get it to the finish line, and another rain's not going to benefit it anymore. Other crops still going to benefit from some more rain, but I think we got our corn to the finish line. So give you a brief look. I mean, y'all saw this several videos ago. Probably, I don't think you saw this exact one, but one very similar to when I was looking at them down in Arley, Alabama. But I got a BBI 20-foot litter spreader right here. I'm hoping it'll hold 10 tons. Probably more realistically around 8-9 tons. The one thing I had to do was I had to install the correct valves to be able to hook up to my rate controller. So either I can variable rate or I can drive different speeds and the chain will automatically adjust. Before, the way it was set up, you have to adjust your train speed and then you have to maintain a certain speed, just like if you were spraying with an old-time sprayer without a rate controller. So now we got all that in there. I gotta get my technician from H&R to come out here and find out exactly what kind of cabling we're gonna need to be able to hook this rate controller up to my Raven 660 to make it work. Find out what kind of values we gotta put in our monitor and everything. We gotta get our truck finished up and then get started on the big project too. So bring you back here in a little while. Well, what do you think of the piece of equipment you're going to become well acquainted with later this fall?
I think it's very much needed since we've got all those big piles. We don't have to depend on anybody now.
I don't think it's going to be a job we're going to look forward to, but at least we're going to know that it can get done. We can at least get it done ourselves if we can get the calibration part figured out on it. Yeah, you might just want to go ahead and get you a 5-gallon bucket of chicken litter, stick it in the cab of your truck. That way you can go ahead and get used to the smell and it won't be so offensive to you when you first bite into that first pile.
Oh yeah. Oh man, just ride around in the loader tractor for a little while.
Yeah. You like the sound of the exhaust modifications we did?
Oh yeah, I love it. They'll know exactly who's coming down the bumpy road.
After seeing the price of that pipe, we might just leave it like that.
It's not too loud.
I bet it sounds good hauling 1,000 bushels down the road. Yeah, that pipe, International didn't have it in stock, and the way it's designed, it's got a big flat spot to go under the cab, and I don't know of anybody that can make one. That short section exhaust pipe was over $900. But I mean, other than maybe a salvage one that's probably not in any better shape than one we took off, I can't think of any other options. If y'all know of any other options in case this happens to me in the future, leave it in the comments below. So we done what we can do to this one till that pipe gets in, so we're gonna back it out and get started on our next project. It actually takes up a little bit more room in the shop than my old cotton picker did. That's for dang sure. It's the first time we've ever pulled it in here. I mean, it's
it didn't have much room to spare.
It's back there right next to the rear door, and I ain't got a whole lot of room in front. Now, when my dad built this shop in the mid-80s or so, we had two-row cotton pickers. You could pull one in from each end, nose them together, have plenty of room to walk around, work on them. Not with this thing. I needs a new shop. I don't see that being in the cards anytime soon. So anyway, yeah. We went and got our picker, bring it back to do the work that we're wanting to do on it because Tennessee Tractor just wasn't going to be able to get it done in the timeline that I needed, and corn harvest is going to be quickly approaching. Last thing I needed was for them to have it most of the month of August and us get it back right before corn harvest, and we don't have time to do the work on it that we want to do. But anyway, did get the estimate for all the work. I don't really have a firm estimate because a lot of stuff don't really know how long it's going to take, but going to be somewhere in ballpark $26,000 to $35,000 worth of work that they're going to do to it. So I'll run over it real quick and tell you what they were going to do to it and then what we're going to do to it. First thing, the biggest job that I wanted them to do, just because, as you can see in our shop's small, and to work on the baler part, it needs to be up and in the service position, which we can't get in the shop, so only option would be to do it outside in the hot August sun. Definitely didn't want to do it. Anyway, I got like, I think 4, maybe 5 of these rollers. Just like a hay baler, you got 5 of these rollers and stuff in here. They've got internal bearings that cannot be greased. I want all those bearings replaced just because I'm worried about fire. One of those bearings goes down. I heard that that's primarily where the fire is going to start back here. So just to know what we got, all the bearings and these internal rollers are going to be replaced. Of course, the external greasable ones, you know, we can see if they're going out, plus we can grease them, so I feel all right about them. The beaters and augers and stuff here on the accumulator, they got external sealed bearings. They're going to replace all the bearings in those too. Another big problem on these pickers is the wheel spacers. Kind of a weak point in them, especially as heavy as these machines are. They're approaching 80,000 pounds, and this one's got the wide spacers in between the duals. This came out of the Boot Hill, Missouri, where it's flat. Not a problem up there, but in our rolling ground going across terraces and stuff, all this weight, you get, you know, to where the dual is supporting all the weight. You know, that with that longer, weaker spacer, more leverage. So we're going to have them put the short 2-inch spacers on there. My buddy Jordan East, that's what he's got on his picker and does just fine. So we're going to put the shorter, stronger wheel spacers on there. Let's see, what else were they going to do? Fuse box, going to replace the fuse box. I heard that's the source of a lot of electrical gremlins on this picker, so they're going to do that. The engine cooling fan starting to crack. They're going to replace that. It's way up in there, real tight spot. The unit lift cylinders leaking oil. We'll have to take them off and have them repacked. That's probably going to be something we're going to try to do ourselves. But anyway, it's what they quoted me for. Camera in the accumulator, and there was some other stuff. The big job, the pricey job, is the bearings. A lot of labor to take them out, and you can see, I mean, they're big, they're going to be heavy. You're kind of in an awkward spot. Just not really something I feel confident in tackling. They did an inspection on it. I think they only find a couple other real minor things that they're going to fix, but overall, we got us a good picker. A lot of this cost right now is going into preventative maintenance and not anything that's necessarily broken. Yeah, and then what we're going to do, see these side panels right here, I mean, just rust. It's a bad design. They got really tiny openings on each end for trash and stuff to get in here. Then you get moisture in there and there's no way to blow it out or clean it out, so they rust out. So Deere wanted $2,500 for the side panels, not anything structural to them. So we're going to take them off, take them over to Bo at J&S, see if he can make us up some for quite a bit cheaper. What else we're going to do? All the halogen lights, I think I counted 13 halogen lights all the way around. We're going to replace with 4-inch LEDs. I already got them ordered from Quake LED. That's where I buy all my LED lights from. Should give us a better visibility at night and also lessen the strain on the alternator. Then, like I said, I think we're going to try to tackle the unit lift cylinders. If those pins come out relatively easy, we're going to have the unit lift cylinders rebuilt. And the big thing that I'm going to do is the head work. The heads are in generally good shape, but all of these bars, I'm going to go through and shim them, get them real tight tolerance. Hopefully it doesn't need a lot of shimming, and whoever worked on this picker last did a real good job, but I don't know if they did or not, so I'm going to do it myself. Adjust moisture columns, adjust doffers, probably change the oil in all the unit gearboxes. Well, we're going to change the oil on everything. Transmission, final drives, of course, engine oil and stuff. And, you know, go back with new fluids in there. Make sure all that's in good shape. Got a new Bluetooth radio ordered for the cab because that one's not Bluetooth and I got to have my Bluetooth. Also need to get a wiring harness up there to connect our 2630 monitor to the factory wiring harness. What else? I know I'm probably leaving out some stuff. Oh, and there's also some rusty areas in and around where the previous owner did not keep it good and clean and ate into the paint. And we'll try best we can. I don't know if we're going to try sandblasting or sanding or what, those rusty areas. Put down a good coat of primer and paint on there just to protect it long term. And oh yeah, the pins and the lacing on all the belts, we're gonna do that. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it doesn't seem like a long list, but
it's gonna feel like one.
Yeah, it's gonna feel like one. So hopefully we can have all this done in about week and a half to 2 weeks, in and amongst all the other stuff we got to do, and then get this thing back down to Tennessee Tractor. Then they'll be able to do all their work to it, and hopefully it will be ready to roll this fall whenever our cotton's ready. Anyway, it's getting pretty late in the day. I figure we'll go ahead and start trying to tackle these side panels, get them off so we can get them to the machine shop, and he can be getting us some made, because we're still going to have to paint them and stick decals on them whenever we get them back. So that's something pretty easy, hopefully, to start out with. All right, back on this picker this morning. We finally got our side panels off on both sides. I'm sorry, I forgot to record what they look like, but it's I cannot imagine what was going through the thought process of the engineer that designed them. Terrible design. They're almost completely closed in, but got a couple of tiny holes in there that all the dust and trash that comes off this picker can filtrate into. And then, of course, water leaks in there, and then it gets wet, but there's no way to clean the trash out, and then, of course, it's going to rust. But one on the other side was so bad that the bolts wouldn't even back out, just broke the metal that it was holding on to. So anyway, got them over at my buddy Bo over at J&S in Humboldt, and talked about a different design, a little bit lighter weight design, because they're not load bearing or anything, but completely open on the backside to where it doesn't accumulate trash in there, and not going to have that problem again. And probably going to be significantly cheaper. So once we get those in, I'll be sure to show them. If you've got one of these pickers having problems with rusted panels, you know, hit him up. He'll be able, after he's gone through the process of making mine, he should be able to make some more real easy. And up there, Andy's up there, he's taking off the screens on the accumulator. We're going to go with screens off a CP690 that are a different design, and they don't plug up with lint near as bad, and a whole lot easier to clean off. Those aren't priced too terribly bad and should make cleanup a lot easier. And if we get more airflow coming out of the accumulator there, you know, blowing trash out of the cotton, could potentially lead to a little bit cleaner grade of cotton. And then while he's working on that, I'm gonna see about getting these unit lift cylinders off the picker here, get them down to more pumps and friendship to where they can be repacked. Hopefully, well, I know I'll be able to get them done a whole lot cheaper than John Deere. I think newer cylinders from John Deere is $1,200 a piece, so we'll have to lower the toolbar there, the units, onto these pallets right here to take pressure off of them. And then hopefully those pins aren't too awful wore and they come on out pretty good. A lot of times they'll kind of have a lip on them. When you try to knock them out, that lip will catch from where they've worn down. So that's what we're going to be working on now. All right, let them down. All right, that'll be good. All right, first thing we'll do is work these lines, take pressure off of it. Some beanie pressure on it. All right, got our lines off and kept loose. Got our pin retaining bolts out. So I guess we better knock these pins out. See how easy they come out. Dang, I would not have guessed that. Right out. A job actually turned out easy.
That was...
Oh, there's no wear on that pin. I was not expecting that easy of a job. There you go. All right, on this other side, because this pin won't come all the way out because this cleat on this tire is blocking it. We're going to do some surgery on the tire. See if we can give us a little clearance here. That makes a new wood blade. This thing ain't doing nothing but just burning through it.
It sure smells good.
Alright, try this. That made a big difference there. We halfway got us a tractor pulling tire now. Well, that's enough to get it out anyway. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
It hasn't been sitting in trash a little longer, froze up. Just need a little persuasion. Oh, suckers.
Me hit it from the back.
Oh, ain't no hitting it from the back. It's boxed in back here.
Oh, dang.
There we go.
All right.
I think that's a little heavier than the other one.
Oh yeah. It ain't much lighter if it's.
Where's Waldo at?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, there he is. So how you coming on the screens?
There, I got a couple of them off, and I've got lots of bolts out, but there's 2 or 3 booger screws, you could say.
Kind of up there, back behind the chutes there.
Yeah, back behind the hole and the chute. You can't really get to them very easily.
If you're standing inside the accumulator and reach over the top, like into where the ducts are, do you think you could reach them there?
That's how I didn't get in it, but that's how I tried this one, and it worked. So I can try that.
All right. Well, as others, I mean, they just way up there. We get the forklift in here for you to stand on, and I'll be able to zap them off, no problem. All right, so we're getting close to a standstill on fixing stuff. Drop the cylinders off. They'll be ready next week. Those new screens be in probably Monday or so. Picked up a couple other parts. There's a foot switch there in the cab that runs the accumulator. It's missing. I'm gonna try and get that installed, and then we got a couple little odds and ends here on the headers that we can do while they're still on the ground, just making them easier to service. Probably what we're gonna try and finish up the day with, but there's one thing I kind of wanted to address. Here the last couple of videos, there's been some a few comments, not many, just a handful of comments about how far behind we are on our videos. You know, like right now we're about a month behind. We're showing you what happened around the 10th of July rather than, you know, around the 10th of August. And I don't know if those comments were, you know, meant as like someone being a Karen or a Richard, or if they're just, you know, actually making a genuine request. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell from the tone of the text, but you know, just to kind of give y'all an idea of what goes on behind our videos. You know, in our busy seasons, the exciting stuff, the stuff y'all really want to see, you know, like planting, harvest, and all that kind of stuff. You know, we're running a total around up to 4 cameras here, and most days we're recording at least 1 video's worth of content each day. Some days we might be recording 2 videos worth of content, just depending on kind of what's going on. So, you know, we religiously release a video once every 3 days, but if you're recording a day's worth of content every day, I mean, you're going to get behind. And also, you know, each video takes me somewhere in ballpark 7-8 hours to produce a video, from downloading all the footage off the cameras, and we're recording in 4K, so we're talking about gigabytes worth of data. You know, sorting through and organizing all of those clips, editing all those clips, and then, you know, editing the color on those clips, editing the audio on those clips, rendering of the video, uploading the video to YouTube, creating the thumbnail clip, you know, putting in ad breaks, no, all that kind of stuff. I say you're talking about 7 to 8 hours. You know, I could put out videos a lot quicker and maybe more often, but they'd be junk. They wouldn't look good. The content wouldn't be as good. Be a lot more kind of dead space in there. The audio would be all over the place, where it'd be hard to understand. You constantly adjusting your TV volume up or down or whatever, and you know, I'm just not going to do that. So, about one video every 3 days is about all I can do, because keep in mind, you know, we're still having to farm. We're still having to do our, over a full-time job. You know, we're putting in right now, minimum, 12 hours a day, sometimes 6.5, sometimes 7 days per week, somewhere between 70 to 90 hours per week. About the only time I can edit these videos is generally between the hours of around 8 p.m. and midnight. And I still got a family too, I'd like to see, like to spend time with. I still got work I got to do up the house, mowing the yard, fixing stuff up at the house. So, tell me how I'm supposed to, say put out a video every single day, when we're busy. I can't do it, and for the most part, a lot of y'all, unless you actually live in this area, you wouldn't really even know that we're a month behind if I didn't put the date on the title. I just kind of put the date on the title for the geeks like me that like to know in relation to what they're doing to what I'm doing. And most people probably don't get anything from it, but for me, that would be something that I kind of like. And also, keep in mind, a lot of these, TV shows you watch, a reality documentary series, like the Deadliest Catch, Ice Road Truckers, all that kind of stuff, showing people in their jobs. By the time you're actually watching those shows, well, most of the times it's at least 6 months behind when it actually happens. Sometimes it's a year behind when it actually happens. So, just kind of keep that in mind, and keep in mind what we're actually having to do out here. We're not doing just one full-time job. I mean, we're putting in sometimes twice as many hours as normal people put in an 8 to 5 job. And then, spend another 7 to 8 hours of work at night, when we could be relaxing or whatever, making these videos. Main reason we're making these videos is, for one, to educate the general public about what we do, what actually goes into farming. Two, so 15, 20 years from now, I can look back on our operation, see where it was. Preserving it for my future generations, so they can see how the farm was at this day and age. And then three, trying to make a little bit of money off of it. Right now I'm making about $10 per hour for every hour I spend on the video. That's generally what I average. That's below minimum wage in a lot of places. A lot better than the $5 an hour I was making, kind of when we first started out. But I'm. If it was about the money, I could be making more money doing something. I could be making more money doing something else. So, y'all just kind of keep that in mind when you start thinking about complaining about being a month behind of what you're seeing versus what we're actually doing. There's definitely reasons behind it. And if I had if we had a film crew, if I had a production assistant or something, someone to film us and then do all the editing, I had no problem. We could, we could keep up. But we're filming ourselves, and then there's only one person here that's doing all the editing and all that. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day. Sometimes I wish there was more, but that's pretty much the reality of it. So, just kind of wanted to get that straightened out. So, anytime you get to thinking how you wish that there was more up-to-date content. There's reasons why there's not. I'd love to be up to date, but it's pretty much impossible for me to do that. So just enjoy the content. Realize you're not going to miss anything on this farm. We'll show it. Might be a month behind. Might be a month and a half behind, or it might only be 2 weeks behind, just depending on the time of year. So anyway, now I got that off my chest. Let's go help Andy out.